she said. We're just old friends. Stop being controlling. Then disappeared for a weekend with her ex. So I sent the photos to his wife. Turns out she wasn't a fan of their little sleepover either. Now they're both single, and I'm finally sleeping peacefully. I, 28M, recently ended a 2-year relationship with my ex-girlfriend, Kayla, 26F. Looking back, I think the signs were always there. I just didn't want to believe them. When you're in something that feels good most of the time, it's easy to excuse the cracks. Until one day, you realize the cracks are the foundation. When we first started dating, Kayla mentioned a guy named Mason, 29M. He's like my brother, she said with a smile. We dated for a couple months in high school, but that was ages ago. He's family now. I didn't think much of it. I've always believed trust is a two-way street. If I expect her to trust me with my female friends, I owe her the same courtesy. At first, things seemed fine. Mason lived in another city, and they mostly texted. Once or twice he called her while we were out, and she'd step away to talk, but nothing ever felt outright shady. It wasn't until about a year in that things started shifting. Mason started FaceTiming her late at night. Not like evening check-ins. I'm talking midnight, while she was lying next to me in bed. She'd giggle, say he's drunk and being dumb, and then continue the conversation with him in the bathroom for 30 minutes. I asked once if it could wait until morning, and she laughed. It's Mason. He needs me right now. Don't be controlling. There were moments like that over and over. Her phone lighting up with texts from him during our movie nights. Her bailing on our plans when he had a rough day. She even left in the middle of our anniversary dinner to go check on him, saying he was dealing with some family drama. I remember sitting at the restaurant alone, just staring at the half-eaten steak and the candle flickering like an idiot. I brought it up more than once. Calmly. But every single time, the same response. Why are you so jealous? You're insecure. You don't trust me. It was like questioning anything made me the villain. You start to doubt yourself after a while. Am I overreacting? Is this normal? Am I being that guy? Then came the cabin trip. She told me it was a weekend getaway with her old high school friends. There's barely any signal out there, so don't freak out if I don't text much, she said. Just a bunch of wine, games, and chill time. Please don't make it a thing. I didn't want to fight, so I let it go. But something about it didn't sit right. The way she emphasized how not a big deal it was. How she brushed off my concerns so fast. Still, I didn't say anything beyond a simple, okay, have fun. When she got back, something was off. Her energy felt rehearsed. She kept over-explaining what they did. Oh, and we definitely didn't go hiking because it was raining the whole time. I hadn't asked. She offered it like a script. Later, I checked her tagged photos on Instagram. Nothing. In fact, she had untagged herself from every group shot others had posted. The only photos of the trip on her profile were a generic landscape and a wine bottle. That's when the nagging feeling turned into suspicion. I didn't want to accuse her blindly, but I also couldn't pretend everything felt normal. You ever get that feeling in your chest? Like something is off, but everyone's trying to convince you it's fine? Yeah, that was me. So I decided to dig. Just a little. After Kayla came back from that so-called high school group retreat, my gut wouldn't quiet down. She kept her phone close, like glued to her side. No more leaving it face up on the couch. Notifications were silenced. She even started taking it into the shower, which she never used to do. I didn't want to snoop. I really didn't. But I also wasn't about to keep living in the dark while she played games with my trust. I started small. I searched her name on Instagram through a friend's account. Not logged in, just the public stuff. Nothing new on her profile. But when I looked at one of her high school friends' pages, there was a group photo from the trip. It had been up for a day, and Kayla had untagged herself. In the back corner, you could see Mason, arm draped around someone's shoulder. The image was cropped awkwardly, like someone was cut out. That was enough to push me further. What finally cracked the code was something I'd forgotten. Kayla used to keep a private Instagram story archive. Old posts, close friends only kind of thing. Most of it was random stuff. But buried in there, from 2 nights before she got back, was a boomerang. Her and Mason sitting by a fire pit, a shared blanket around them, wine glasses in hand. Her legs were draped across his lap. His hand was on her ankle. She captioned it with a laughing emoji and just like old times. My chest tightened. I stared at the photo for a long time, just processing. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted there to be some explanation, some missing context. But deep down I knew. This wasn't about jealousy. This was about disrespect. That's when I remembered something Kayla had said months earlier. Mason was married. His wife's name was Eliza. I'd never met her. Never even seen a photo. Kayla always said, she's kind of private, and that they didn't hang out with her much because Eliza doesn't vibe with everyone. So I searched. It wasn't hard, just a bit of Google, a LinkedIn profile, and I found Eliza's Instagram. Her page was quiet, mostly family photos and book recs. But there she was, smiling with Mason in older pictures. Their wedding was 2 years ago. There were no signs she knew what had just happened. I hesitated before messaging her. I'm not someone who likes drama. I didn't want to blow up anyone's life. But I kept thinking, what if she were me? Wouldn't I want to know? So I sent a message. Calm. Straightforward. Hey, Eliza. I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way. I'm reaching out because I believe you deserve to know something that involved your husband, Mason, and my now ex-girlfriend, Kayla. They were at a cabin this past weekend. She told me it was a group trip, but I later found photos that show them together in a more intimate way. I'm not trying to start anything. I just believe in honesty. I've attached the screenshots. I didn't expect a reply right away, or even at all. I figured maybe she'd block me, maybe delete the message and pretend it never happened. But I knew I'd done what felt right. I didn't have to yell or accuse. I just laid out the truth. Later that night, as I was lying in bed alone, my phone buzzed. It was a DM from Eliza. You're not the first person he's pulled this on, but you will be the last. I didn't know what that meant yet, but I had a feeling something was about to blow wide open. Within 24 hours of sending that message, everything exploded. Eliza didn't just confront Mason. She documented everything. That one photo I sent her? It was just the beginning. She apparently went full forensic analyst on his devices and accounts. What she found made my stomach twist. Screenshots of flirty texts between him and Kayla. Calendar entries labeled work trip on the exact weekend of the cabin retreat. A shared liquor store receipt from the Friday they left town. 2 bottles of red wine, chocolate, and a blanket. Eliza wasn't subtle about it either. She posted everything publicly. There was no cryptic caption, no vague, some people can't be trusted nonsense. She tagged Mason directly and wrote, when your husband tells you he's out of town for work, but really he's cuddling with his ex by a fire, under a blanket, drinking the wine you bought him last month. Cheers to closure. Also, Kayla, this is me formally saying, you're not the victim. The comment section went nuclear. People shared, reshared, and tagged mutual friends. A few of Mason's old college friends chimed in with, damn, again, and he's always been like this. It was brutal. Kayla, on the other hand, absolutely unraveled. She called me, sobbing. The first words out of her mouth were, how could you do this to me? Not, I'm sorry. Not, I messed up. Just pure blame. I was calm. Do what? Tell someone her husband was cheating. She sniffled. I didn't cheat. It was just emotional. It's not like we slept together. I let out a quiet laugh. So you're saying it wasn't real cheating, just enough to keep it hidden from both of us? She hesitated. Then she said, I only did it because I felt like you weren't paying enough attention to me. That right there was the last thread snapping. I told her, if you needed more from me, we could have had a conversation. You don't get to cross boundaries and call it self-care. She swung between guilt and rage. You ruined everything. I lost my best friend, my reputation. Do you know what people are saying about me? I said, they're not saying anything that your own actions didn't start. The final message she ever sent me came 2 days later. Eliza is making me look like the villain. And I replied, no, your actions are doing that for you. After that, silence. I heard through a mutual friend that Mason and Kayla tried to see where things went after everything blew up. It lasted about a week. Turns out 2 people who built something on lies don't make for a very trusting pair. Last I checked, Mason's back in therapy, and Kayla's Instagram is a string of vague, dramatic quotes. Stuff like, strong women scare weak men, and the truth always gets twisted. Maybe it's easier to play the misunderstood woman than actually own what she did. As for me, I've been rebuilding. Slowly, but solidly. A few months after everything settled, I started dating someone new. She's kind. She asks questions. She respects boundaries. One time, before meeting a male friend for lunch, she asked, would it make you uncomfortable if I didn't tell you about this beforehand? I remember pausing, smiling, and just saying, thank you for asking. That's the thing. It's not about control. It's about mutual respect. And once you experience that, real respect, you realize how many red flags you used to wave off as just being independent. So here's my takeaway. If someone constantly tells you you're being insecure for wanting honesty, it's often because they're hiding something. And if they ever tell you, we're just old friends, maybe make sure everyone involved knows what just friends actually looks like.